Dear friends, we're standing right now in front of the Rambam's cave. I could, with Hashem, will be Messiah right now, the Rambam. Thank you very much for joining us. It's my first time to be here by the Rambam for the Siyum HaRambam. I remember the Pavnenium 40 years ago, that Rebbe instituting the Siyum HaRambam. The next morning, people were like surprised. How was it going to happen? Anyway, let's do the Siyum HaRambam right now. Thank you very much for joining us. I'd like to start with this. My Zayda told me the following story. So his father, at the height of difficulties, 1938, and they were hiding, and it was in Petersburg. He met in the morning the Redakirov, very choshvet, Talmid Chacham. You could see letters that the Rebbe wrote to him. It's in the Rishimos. And the Redakirov asked my great-grandfather, Rav Morozov, like, this is a very sharp Rambam. And he wondered if the Rebbe Rashab had something to say about this. The Rambam said about, the Rambam writes in the beginning of the halachos of Soidei HaTorah, he goes on to say that anyone that believes that there is Dmus HaGuf for the Eibush is a min. And Hilchos the Rambam writes, Chamishem in the Kroim min, Omer she'ishem riboin echad, aval shehu guf bal tmuna. And that Ivid writes on this. You have the booklet in front of you. Look at the first page and the copies I have. That Ivid writes, Amar Avram, v'lo makor lazemin, v'chama gedolim v'toivim mimenu, holchu b'zu ha'machshava, l'fi ma shero b'mikroes, v'yoyse v'ma shero b'divrei agodas ha'meshabshois es adeyos. So the Ivid is saying, how could the Rambam call a person that thinks the Eibush has at Musaguf a min? Bigger people than the Rambam, better than the Rambam, thought this way. It's shocking that the Rambam would call someone that thinks that the Eibush has a Tmunas Guf to be Gedolim V'Toivim Imenu, greater than the Rambam. What does that mean? So there is a Girsa that changes it a little bit, and you'll see it on the other side of the page. There's a Girsa that's Ein Roy L'Kroisai Min. And there is a pshat, even according to our Girsa, that Gedolim V'Toivim Imenu doesn't mean greater than the Rambam. Gedolim V'Toivim Imenu means great Jewish people thought so, and how could you call them a min? However, simple pshat, Gedolim V'Toivim Imenu, that greater than the Rambam. And how could you say such a thing? How could that Ivid say that there were people greater than the Rambam that thought that the Eibush had a Dmus HaGuf? And that was the question that a Dokirov had for my grandfather. My Zayda said, yes, he has a word from the Rebbe Rashab who answers exactly this question from the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe said that when the Rambam asked him that this person that believes that the Eibush has a Tmunas HaGuf is a min, all of a sudden, they started chasing thousands of neshamas out of Gan Eden. These are people that believe the Eibush had a Tmunas Guf, and they're in Gan Eden. And since the Rambam already now paskin that a person says so as a min, he doesn't belong in Gan Eden. Thousands of neshamas were being kicked out of Gan Eden. A tragedy happened. What should we do? The Ravid came up with a brilliant thought. This is the word from the Alter Rebbe. Take a little break. We'll look around at the dancing that's going on over here. Here's the cave HaRambam. So the Alter Rebbe said that the Ravid came up with a brilliant thought. How is he going to bring the thousands of neshamas that were kicked out of Gan Eden back to Gan Eden? There is a rule that a Bezdin Kotten doesn't have a jurisdiction over a Bezdin Godel. So therefore, the Ravid said that those tzaddikim that thought the Eibishter had Tmunas Guf for Gedolim Mitoivim Imenu, so he had no jurisdiction over them. And with this limit schus, thousands of neshamas came back to the Gan Eden. Since I'm jet lagged, last night I had enough time to think, where is such a Rambam? Where is there such a Rambam that you have no jurisdiction over someone who's Godel V'Toiv? So every Bezdin has to have the person who's the most brilliant, and otherwise he doesn't have a jurisdiction on Klal Yisrael. That would be ridiculous. So I have three possibilities, but first possibility is Kol Dover HaGodel Yeviu Eilech. It's Daf Yud Ches in Sanhedrin. Dover shall Godel. So the din of a Kohen Godel, for example, must be by a Bezdin shall Shivim Ve'echad. Dover shall Godel Yeviu Eilecha. I don't think that's a shot. But it's a possibility. Second thing is in the first Pedic, and this is in Pedic 5 in Sanhedrin and the Rama. Second possibility is in the Pedic 1 in Eidus, that Talmid Chacham does not obligated to go a Bezdin that's smaller than him because it's below his dignity. I don't think that because anyway, if it was something which is if it was something lafrisha misura, I think really what the Alter Rebbe was referring to in Hilchas Mamrim, that a Bezdin can overturn an earlier Bezdin's verdict, but they have to be bigger b'chochma b'minyan, and the lashon over there is they have to be a Bezdin godel b'chochma b'minyan, and that's maybe the double lashon gedolim v'toivim imenu. Gedolim v'toivim imenu is connected kamus ve'echos, quality and quantity. And that's the pshat. Gedolim v'toivim imenu. That was the limud schus. Perhaps that was the meaning of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe was referring to the Rambam in Hilchas Mamrim, and that the Bezdin. So the later Bezdin has if they're gedolim v'toivim can overturn. If they're not gedolim, they can't overturn. So he was saying that Ravid was saying that the Rambam was not. They were gedolim v'toivim, so therefore he could not overturn their ruling that a Yid could think this way. Who are these Gedolim V'Toivim? Who are these Gedolim V'Toivim? Look, there's a booklet at the end of Torah Shleima, and he says that this is remarkable. So one of the Balei Tosfos, Shlomo Monteplier, the Rebbe of Rabbeinu Yoina, who was very upset about what the Rambam wrote in Hilchas Deis, and he actually went to the Dominican Rachmana Litzlan Notzirim, and he told them that the Rambam is a heretic, and they burnt the Sfonim of the Rambam, which later caused all of the Sfonim to be burnt in 24 wagons in the center of Paris. The Ben Yonah was so embarrassed and ashamed of it, he went to town and asked him Mechila, and he said he's coming here to Tveria to pray and ask Mechila at the Rambam's grave right here. And as he was traveling, he stopped in Toledo, and he never made it to Rabbeinu Yonah, never made it here. But we're standing here right now. And bottom line is, there seems to be two attitudes to this machloikas of the Rambam and the Ravid. There is a word, they say from the Brisker of Nebuch HaPikardis, Beis HaPikardis. So, that's the bottom line. And that's Mekevus Mishnah writes sort of that way. You look at the second page, you see, maybe later read it inside. Mekevus Mishnah was a Misnaga too. So that's one way of thinking. That's one way of thinking. By the way, I see always a mirror image of Machzidim Misnagdim in the argument against the Rambam. The Misnagdim against the Rambam thought that these thoughts of Achdus Hashem were ridiculous. The Rambam prevailed. Same thing with Chassidus. But there is the Rebbe's attitude to it, which is beautiful, and we'll read it soon in the Sikh inside. The Rebbe said that true, if a person thought that the Eibishter was about Tmunas Guf, before the Rambam came, he was not a min. But today, after the Rambam passed this way, if a person would believe so, he would be a min. If a person doesn't understand Achdus Hashem before the Alter Rebbe came and explained the Torahs of Hashem and Amagid, he's not a min. But now he is, and that's the beautiful thought over here. So, l'chaim, my dear friend, Siyum HaRambam. I'm going to now read the last few words of the Rambam, and we'll conclude with this, and maybe later we'll join together and read the rest of the booklet together. It's beautiful to finish the Rambam after 40 years in the favorite of the Rambam. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, appreciate it.
This thing is very nice.
Oh, thank you.
You're supposed to be over there and over here.
Oh, thank you so much. I really tried. I didn't know who to call. Okay, friends, we're learning the last halacha now. Thank you so much. That all delicacies will be important to people like an abundance like dust, but also important to people like dust, unimportant. That the whole world, the preoccupation will be only ladas Hashem. You know, Chassidus says that the important thing of connecting with Eibishter is the moyach adas, not moyach chochma, not bina, but rather that's why Moshe is that he came to tell them the message. Yedaitim kinyavaya, and also the Gerlachanan will be Molor, it's Deus Hashem, and that's what the Alter Rebbe explains the Chassidus Parsha of the past week and the first Maimer. They will understand the knowledge of their Creator as much as a person could understand. It seems to be a weakness, only kifikoyach adam, but perhaps it's also a maila that will be an opinius. It won't just surround us and be overwhelming, but we'll actually take it in and understand it. Kifikoyach adam. Shenem, as the pasuk says, Kimol haaretz deis Hashem, that the world will be filled with knowledge of the Eibishter and Kamaim De'amachas. Before the Alter Rebbe's big deal gives deis Hashem, which that's the whole idea of Chassidus. B'achdus Hashem, that's understood in a deeper way of Chassidus, is not that there isn't another power in the world, but there isn't other Metzias in the world besides the Eibishter. And that's what brings us to the first Eidik and the Rambam, Yisoida, Zavuda, Achosh, Matzleida, Shiesh, Hamotze, Nishim, Bomamtze, Kolim Tzoyim, Kolim Tzoyim, Bishmaim, Boretz, Masher, Beinem, Loy, Minim, Tzoela, Ma'amitis, Simotze. Dear friends, L'chaim, it's an exciting moment. As I said, I remember the Fabrengen, Tovshin, Memhei, and I remember that Rebbe suggesting to learn Rambam next morning at 7:70. People are saying, wow, how are we going to learn the whole Rambam in a year? Baruch Hashem, we've been doing it all these years, and it's beautiful. And if you haven't yet joined the Rambam, join now by learning 3 parakim a day, or 1 pedic a day, or at least 2 sefer ha-mitzvahs. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Very, very nice.